Started with questions.
All right, Jason Leisure.
Matt, you were pretty animated about some of the problems with the offense last time we talked to you. I'm curious how you addressed that with the team. And I've heard coaches do that before, and then a lot of times we see still the same guys in the same opportunity, the same positions. I wonder whether you think we'll see drastic changes in personnel based on who's on board with what you said and who's not.
No, I would say number one, the frustration, regardless of like personnels and plays and all that stuff, the frustration, that I felt from watching the tape was more on just overall details. It wasn't so much specifics, personnels or certain plays per se that we got to do different because we're not doing the details right. I think it's just more of the big picture is where I'm coming from, and they understand it. We'll be meeting with them today to kind of go over some of that. We still haven't met with them since the game. So we'll do that, and then we'll put that behind us and get rocking and rolling for Carolina, which is what we've been working on as a staff over the weekend.
Dan Wiederer.
Matt, two quick ones. First of all, what went into the schedule change today, going from a practice to a walkthrough? And then also just with that question on details, when in your quest to have guys play fast, how do you balance sort of the volume that you throw in versus just kind of having it in a sweet spot where guys are reacting and playing with speed?
Sure. Yeah. The first part of the question with the schedule change, obviously with everything that happened in regards to last weekend with the positive COVID test, and what that does is it kind of puts in a trickle down effect as to how you got to do things moving forward. We're learning through other teams and other leagues just how to handle these type of scenarios. And I think what we've done is what we're trying to do, Dan, is go above and beyond in here in our bubble to make sure that whatever we do in practice, we were scheduled to have that 10-10-10 practice where we're going pretty good, going pretty fast. We got everyone here, and we kept our practice squad players for a preventative measure. We kept them at home. So they're not even in the building today. So when you have that, what happens when you don't have your practice squad players is now you don't have guys and numbers to run your 10-10-10 for legs. So we had to pull back there, and it was okay. We conditioned our guys. We got them running. They've been off their feet for a few days, so we feel like that was the best thing to do. And there's some other things that we're following as well. So that's that part. And then in regards to the scheme and the plays and playing fast, there's always that balance. I think you go back and forth of understanding where you're at. Do you have too much in? I can tell you right now that we do not have too much in. So it again, that's where if I thought we had too much in, I would have never brought up about details. So that's a big part of it. So these guys know it. They understand it. Now on our end, we got to make sure each week that we're scheming the right way and putting our guys in the best position possible.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Matt, the Buccaneers went for it on 4th and 1 at their 19 in the first half on Thursday. That is such a rare occurrence. I was just wondering, what was your reaction to that? And in your heart of hearts, did you take that personally as like an affront that somebody did not fear risking giving your offense the ball in the 20-yard line at that point of the game?
No, it's definitely for sure. It's a big risk, but obviously if they're feeling that they have a play they like, or if they feel like they have an advantage somewhere, that doesn't shock me at all. With Coach. I mean, he's Coach Arians is a guy that's always been aggressive, and it's for me, that's a part of the game. I think you're starting to see more 4th down go for it, and right now because there's less crowd noise when you're on the road, and that's just a part of this game. I didn't take any bit of insult to it. You're allowed to do whatever you want to do, and it's our job to stop it. And just like when we go for it on 4th and 1, it's our job to get the first.
Thank you.
Yep.
Pat Finley.
Matt, can you walk us through what your Saturday early morning was like with news of this, and what sort of meetings you had to plan where to go next? And also the way your schedule just kind of worked out last week, did that give you any sort of better feeling that this thing might not be spreading?
Yeah. So I'm actually trying to think of Saturday morning. I mean, we were the coaches and players were off, and for myself, just to be able to kind of, you get to do some self-scouting and just see where you're at. That's the luxury of this mini little bye. And the timing of this to happen with our positive test, you never want it to happen, but when it did happen, it happened at a good time for us because we had guys out of the building, which is good. And so that part is good. Now, what's important is, I think what you see is you got to make sure that just because things are going well the last couple of days in regards to results, you want to make sure that continues to go here for the next several days so you can kind of get through, all those, the incubation period per se. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And so far, so good. And, but my Saturday was a normal Saturday, just watching a lot of tape on Carolina.
Do you want the practice squad guys? Do you anticipate they will practice Wednesday, or do you know?
I do. Yeah. We anticipate them being back on Wednesday. Again, the players, we flip Monday and Tuesday this week. So they're in today, they're out tomorrow. So no one's in here tomorrow. We have a really good plan put in place for the guys still have to lift. That's what you have. You can't have these guys not lift. So we've even set that stage really, really good as far as numbers and who comes in and when they come in. There's strict rules with that. Everyone has all their masks on at all times. So we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that we put this thing away and can move forward and get back on track for everything to be quote unquote normal on Wednesday.
Colleen Kane.
Hey, Matt, just curious, what was it like for you to see Alex Smith's return yesterday?
It was surreal, really. I mean, I understand who he is more than a lot of people, so it doesn't shock me to see his family, Elizabeth and his kids in the stands on a rainy day, just watching him, the emotions that I'm sure they were going through. Alex is I told you what I feel about him, how special of a person, how much of a warrior he is. To see him get hit there early on by Aaron Donald, I'm sure he probably liked that. So it does not surprise me, and I was really happy to see that he's such a special guy.
JJ.
Matt, can you just let us know, when was the last time the player who tested positive was in your building? If you're able to share that with us.
I'm assuming, I guess it would have been on, was it Thursday or Friday? If my memory takes me back right. It's kind of, when the results come back based off of the day before, but I think that's about when it was as far as the positive.
And last week, I know coaches had a call with Dr. Alan Sills. I was just curious what your takeaways were from that and the timing of that now with you guys having your first positive test.
Yeah, the biggest thing goes back to what Dr. Sills said from the very, very beginning, which is fewer and farther and wear your mask, and the healthiest team is going to have the greatest chance to have an opportunity to do good things this year. And so there was reiterating those points, but at the same time, I think explaining the selfless versus selfish part is when you're outside of this Halas Hall bubble, what are you doing? And are you being smart? And that's the message that we've sent to all of our players is, yeah, there's a lot of good to having a mini bye week on a Thursday night game. But at the same time, you're starting to see now with bye weeks creeping up and these Thursday night short week games or long week games, now there's more opportunity for guys to do things. And that's where we got to pull it back in and make sure that we are doing everything we can to limit this thing so that it doesn't get out of control.
Hub.
Hey, Matt, I don't know what all you found in the self-scouting this weekend, but you were having some success running the ball early, and we noticed with a lot of 12 and 13 personnel, and now hasn't worked as well. Is there any chance that needing to have special personnel packages on the field to run the football have limited your ability to work the whole passing game and to run the game plan the way you want?
I would say, Hub, here's what I noticed. Yesterday you saw, if you watched any of the Colts and the Browns game, you noticed that the Browns ended up winning that game. They threw the ball 28 times in the first half. The Colts have a pretty good run defense, and the Browns have a pretty good rushing offense. And so sometimes what you need to do is, as you go through this, is you just got to figure out, okay, where are your best matchups at and the teams you're facing. It gets old always talking about the last 2 weeks. I know I'm saying from my point of view for you guys to hear it from me in regards to these two fronts that we played. but there's some realness to that. And so when you go into these games, it is our job to make sure that personnel wise, you try to give your team the best matchup possible by personnel, but then also by what you're doing, whether it's run or pass. And so, I do believe, I have a lot of faith in our run game. I really do. And different ways of how we're going to get back to it. I feel good about that. There's no panic at all. I know that for me, that part's exciting to figure out ways to get it back on track, because that's ultimately going to help our offense.
Brad Biggs.
Hey, Coach, how is Badara doing? Is he asymptomatic, or what's the latest you know about his condition?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a couple of days, but I think he's doing pretty good. Again, it's just more than anything is when you're in these positions, just from talking to him, guys, he feels bad because he doesn't know, he has no idea when it happened or anything like that. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just trying to understand the why part, why him. But at the same point in time, we all just got to understand that, support him, and know that we got to do our job now to risk mitigate as much as possible. But he seems to be doing good.
Couple more for Coach Jeff Dickerson.
Yeah, Matt, to kind of follow up on Brad's question, like when a player tests positive, it's got to be so unnerving for anyone to test positive. What happens as far as the support that like you would provide, the organization provides? Like, how does that all happen when a positive test occurs?
Yeah, well, number one, we communicate with them and just make sure that, symptom wise, they're okay. And then whatever we got to do to help with that. And then I think probably the emotional side is a big part of it as well, because like BT was saying, you feel bad because you don't know, when or how you got it. That's unknown. And then because the trickle down effect of everything that happens, because of that, you have other players that, that are around, or any close contacts you have. And that's to try to save all that. You just got to understand that, hey, the next couple of days are going to be a little bit different. But I think from the forefront, Jeff, is that on the very beginning of this start of the season and really going back to off season, we said, listen, every day is going to be different. And then how do we respond to that? And so our communication here has been really, really good from top down. And I mean, we have an app that we use for our team, and we have a communication process to let everybody know what's going on. I mean, last night we had a big Zoom meeting just to let everybody know, okay, here's what we got moving forward. Here's the change we're making. Are there any questions or concerns? And we got everybody on that call, and we just talked through it. So I think that part is comforting to the players, and they came out here today, had a great walkthrough, and now we get them out of the building. They're not sitting around the locker room. They're not in the weight rooms. They're out of here. And now we're going to have some Zoom meetings, later on.
Last one, Dan, go ahead.
Matt, from what you said the other day, it sounded like there was a concerted effort to at least express to the guys involved in your running game that you still have confidence in it. How do you go about that process just in the short term of letting them know, obviously the Bucs and the Colts have good fronts, but that you still have that level of belief that this thing's going to turn? Yeah, well, that started with right after the game when the emotions are high, having that talk, that one-on-one, look them in the eyes talk from both sides. There's no yelling or screaming. It was just a letting them know how I feel about them as players and what I want them to feel in regards to our run game, that, hey, this is a part of the process here. And I know that you guys are going to get back to the grind. You guys care. And when you care, we'll get this thing figured out. So there's a lot. It's not just the run game. I mean, that happened to be, the last 2 weeks has been a struggle for us. But I think just overall in general, we know we can be so much better on offense. And, it's just a matter of putting that thing together in regards to the minds of the coaches, the minds of the players, and then going out and just doing it. You can't overthink it. You can't try to get too crazy. You just go play, and you get to play another game. All that said, the positive in all this is that we're 4-1. That's the part that we keep going back to, is we found ways to win ugly. And so when we do put this together on offense and we get this thing going, which we will, it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's the part we just got to get to there sooner than later.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. See you.
We'll have a few players as soon as the team lift is over, and I'll keep you guys updated on who those players are and what time that will be. So hopefully soon.
Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, Alan.
Yo, what's good?
All right, media, we got Alan Robinson with us, so we can get started here. JJ, go ahead.
Hey, Alan, how's it going?
Doing well, appreciate it.
Good. You guys had your first player test positive for COVID-19 over the weekend. I'm just curious, what has the message been from Coach Nagy? I know he had you guys on a Zoom call updating you yesterday. And just how did you kind of process the first one of these happening this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's all pretty crazy. Again, I mean, for us, just listening to Coach Nagy, following our same stuff, just taking extra precautions, making sure that we're doing the necessary things to make sure that we maintain our own personal safety and then the safety around us as well. But again, I mean, it's pretty scary. Again, I mean, you just kind of think back as far as, maybe who that player has been around, and things like that, because as we saw, you've seen cases pop up through teams who haven't even been in the facility, but continue to pop up and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's scary. Again, I mean, all you can kind of do is just, keep your fingers crossed that, that this is like the last and only person of it.
Pat Finley.
To that point, A-Rob, the Titans kept getting positive tests multiple weeks after the first. Are you nervous now? It doesn't feel like you guys are out of the woods yet.
Yeah. I mean, again, just hoping that every day that you wake up, that you don't have that missed call or call on your cell phone, that you tested positive, So again, I mean, I feel like for us as a team and as players, we've taken the proper and necessary precautions, to maintain our safety, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is a very unknown thing when it comes to just how the virus is spreading and things like that, so all you can do is just kind of hope that, that nobody else is in the crossfire.
Dan Wiederer.
Alan, how have you reacted to the things around the league? Well, again, to Pat's point, with the Titans having a 2-week-long, drawn-out trickle-down effect of this, and then now all of a sudden games are getting moved all around the calendar. And I'm sure as you're following things on social media, you have some thoughts that pop into your brain as you see all this.
Yeah, it's tough. Even looking at like the Steelers, being forced to use their bye week. What was that, week 4? And then at the same time, I mean, the Titans-Bill game still possibly being up in the air if it's going to play tomorrow or not, pending some different things, So it's tough, it puts a lot of teams at a lot of different, disadvantages. But going into this season, just like Coach said, things that are unpredictable, is kind of what you have to keep in your mind as far as, keeping in your head that you have to be, I mean, you really got to expect the unexpected, at all times. I mean, that's the kind of season that this was going to be, going in, and we've kind of known that. So again, you got to just adjust as best as you can. It's going to be some tough situations, but you got to just continue to try to adjust and push through it.
JJ.
Along those lines, Alan, like the Broncos. Sorry about that. The Broncos last week spent the whole week preparing to play the Patriots on Monday night, and now they're getting a bye week, and they really don't have any time off. It just, when you see stuff like that, how does that continue to reinforce that expect the unexpected and just kind of have to like roll with this season mentality?
Yeah, I mean, that's extremely tough. And like I said before, the Steelers, same thing. I mean, I don't think that their game was officially postponed until like that Friday, maybe, so guys were in the facility practicing all week. Guys were going through their normal weekly protocols of preparing for a game. And then to now say, okay, like this is your bye week, but at the same time, you still have practices. You haven't had any added rest, or anything like that, and it's tough. I definitely imagine that it's very, very frustrating as well, but at the same time, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's one of those years where, it's a lot of things that around the league that players and teams can't control. You got to try to go with the flow and make best of it.
Mark Grody.
Hi, Alan. Your head coach was pretty fired up the other day when he was speaking to us about the concept of the offense paying attention to detail. What did you think of that?
Yeah, as he should be. Again, I think that everybody should be fired up about that. Again, but I think that's what also makes the players that we have in this locker room, special, is that we don't have any complacency. None of our quarterbacks are complacent. Our receivers are complacent. Nobody's walking around here, satisfied. I mean, yeah, we're fortunate and happy to be 4-1. I think that, again, it's tough to win in this league, but at the end of the day, we aren't sitting back, waiting on praises or thinking that we, have arrived or anything like that. We know we got a long way to go, and we also know the capability of, you know, if we reach that point, you know, and if we are the offense that we say we want to be, you know. So again, I mean, everyone should be fired up, you know, around here on offense.
Kevin Fishbane.
Hey, Alan, Matt talked to us about, you know, you guys just faced a really good defense in Tampa, a really good defense in Indianapolis. You know, from a player's perspective, are you able to kind of recognize, hey, that's a good defense. Like, you know, we want to be better, but you can kind of respect the guys on the other side. How do you kind of balance that versus you always want to be at the top of your game, but knowing that there's some pretty good guys on the other side of the field?
Yeah, you know, that's always tough. I know, especially for me, it's tough. You know, again, I mean, after I sit back and kind of look at the game from an individual standpoint for myself, you know, again, I get frustrated with a lot of things that I didn't do, you know, that I could have corrected. You know, I mean, no matter what it is, no matter the defensive back, no matter the defense, or whatever, as I'm sitting back, you know, I know the expectation that I have for myself. And I know what expectation I want to reach each and every week. You know, and I think that says true across the board. You know, we know we played a good coach defense, but we have to play much better than we did. And you know, going forward, we played a good Tampa defense. You know, by the end of the day, we still got to play much better. You know, that doesn't mean anything. That's not an excuse. You know, again, I mean, there's good defenses across the league. You know, if we want to do what we want to do, if we want to win and be the standing champion at the end of the season, we're going to have to play better than any good defense, no matter how good they are.
Pat Finley.
Alan, when you went back and watched film of the interception, was there anything body control wise you could have done different? And when you look back at a couple of the catches that turned into picks this year, is that just bad luck, or is there any coaching point there?
Definitely a little bit of bad luck. Coaching points on myself. You know, just doing everything that I can to be able to make sure that that's not an interception. You know, again, I mean, just kind of watching it. You know, it's one of those things. You know, I mean, for me, you know, I talked to Coach and Nick, you know, after the game. That's something that's not gonna happen again this season. You know, I can guarantee that. So for myself, it's just about looking at it. You know, seeing how I can get better. You know, I feel like the one against Tampa, I was a little bit off balance. You know, I think that I can kind of push my weight through a little bit quicker, you know, if I can, to just kind of balance my body up a little bit more, so that ball doesn't get put in the air at all. You know, and the same way like the Giants won, it was even when the interception happened, I could look back and watched it. You know, his hands were kind of under mine, you know, in that one, which was a very good play, you know, tough situation. And then the one in Atlanta, you know, again, I still stand how I stand on that one, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I can't allow the DB to get up with the ball at all. So again, I mean, I'll take those, you know, again, like I said before, it's not gonna happen again. And that's something I know and I'm pretty confident about.
Couple more for Alan. Dan.
Alan, when Coach Nagy delivers that message about being more detailed as an offense, and then I'm sure you guys get some supporting evidence on the film, what are some specifics of that you're seeing and noticing on the film that just aren't as buttoned up as they should be right now?
Yeah, that's across the board. You know, that's just attention to detail with maybe some of the checks, you know, some of the route running. You know, again, I mean, me just kind of speaking on the receiver stuff. You know, I'm sure it's other things, you know, but again, you have to talk to some of those other position groups. But for us, it's about, you know, just attention to detail with checks, you know, depth, you know, assignments in the run game, you know, and things like that. You know, we got to just make sure that we aren't hurting ourselves, you know, from a mental error standpoint. You know, it's going to be some physical errors sometimes in some plays that defenses make. But at the end of the day, we can't put ourselves behind the 8 ball to start before the play by having a mental error. You know, so again, I think that stands true, you know, across all facets of football. Is when you put yourself in the best position mentally, you put yourself in an even better position physically to go out there and make that play. You know, so I mean, I agree with Coach 110%. You know, again, we got to be better, you know, in that mental aspect of it, and then the physical stuff, you know, will take care of itself.
Last one, Mark Grody.
Hey, Alan, being that you just said that you agree with him 110% on what he said, are you kind of glad that he sort of went off? Because we've never really seen him like that, where he was that angry, especially after a win. Did you enjoy the fact that he did that?
Always, you know, again, I mean, I wouldn't want coach to coach me personally any lighter, you know, no matter the circumstance at all. You know, again, if it's something that I'm not doing or if it's something that needs to be corrected for myself, you know, I want that, you know, I want to know that, you know, again, I think that should be all players, you know, Again, he's a coach. He's our coach. He wants to play to the best of our abilities. And at the end of the day, he has the number one goal in mind, which is winning. And that's the same thing for us. So again, that's coaching us, tough. And it is what it is. We gotta make sure that we be better.
Thanks for your time, Alan.
Appreciate it.